Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Ankush here from Alif Consulting. Welcome in our Azure Migrate video, right? In this video, we will be going to understand how we can assess a AWS VM which has been discovered using the Azure Migrate appliance, right? In our last video, we understand how we can install the Azure Migrate appliance and discover the AWS virtual machines or instances by using the appliance, right? And how the discovery look like into the Azure side once discovery is successfully initiated, right? In this video, we will be going to specifically understand how we can assess the VM or do the assessments once VMs are successfully discovered, right? So these are the steps which we need to do. We first need to run the assessment based on the server metadata configurations or the configuration, and then we need to run the assessment based on the performance so data. So we have two things when we are running the assessment for AWS instances, right? So let's quickly jump into the demo since this specific video or this video is going to be kind of a real work which you do into the real world, right? So let's quickly jump into demo and understand how we do the assessment directly from the Azure Migrate project using the Azure portal, right? So I am already in my Azure Migrate console and I'm already in my project, right? So once your discovery is completed, in my case, which is already done and showing the one VM, we have two things, right? We have a dependency analysis, which we can do to see if VMs are dependent on each other. Else, what we can do, if we don't want to do or if we don't want to run any kind of dependency check, what we can do, we can directly do the assessment, right? So once you are doing the assessment, you have a three options, right? You have a VM Azure VMs, you have a Azure SQL, or you have a Azure VMware solution, right? So we can do the assessment in all of these three cases, but in our cases we want to run only for Azure VM, right? So now what we need to do, we need to click on VM, and then from here we need to further do the rest of the steps, right? First we need to do, we need to select the assessment type, which is Azure VM. We need to select the discovery source, right? What is the discovery source is going to be, and then these are the predefined configuration. However, if you want to change, you can change this configuration, right? So what is your target location? In my case, I want to put everything in India. So let's pick the South India. What is the reserve instances is cost is option you want to select. What is the storage type? Either you want to use the premium, standard, or standard SDD or standard SDD. It's based on the performance data. It can be collected, or if you specifically want to assign the specific storage type, you can do that as well. How many VM series you want to include? I would go for all, but in your real case, you can select what is the VM instances or VM series you only want to use. What is the sizing criteria is going to be, either it's the performance base or either it's the on-premise base. You can do that and select that also, and then you can specify your performance history which it's going to analyze. So I want to go for 1 week, and then you can define what is the performance utilizations you want to go for the sizing criteria, and then what is your pricing is going to be, either it's going to be the enterprise agreement support, either it's going to be pay as you go, or either it's going to be the dev test. That's something you can define the pricing and licensing offer. You can define your currency, and then if you already have any kind of Windows license or or I can say the software insurance with your Windows license, that's something you can enable the hybrid benefit directly on this assessment to see how many cost you are saving it, right? So click on save, right? So we our assessment setting is done. Click on next. What is the assessment name, right? So let me give it a new name, Alif Demo Assess. Let's create a group. So give it a name group 01 and select the VM. Click on next and click on create assessment, right? Once you done or once you have successfully uh, created this assessment, it's going to run the validations, and we'll be going to will be basically giving you the options, or I can say uh, the further things, right? To give you the option, what is the sizing, what are the disk options, how your pricing is going to be look like, kind of things would be available. So since our assessment is created, we already have done the assessment. Sorry for selecting the wrong option, right? You can go for here. You can go for the assessment, right? So since this assessment is created and is going on, right? I can click on overview and I can go for the group one. I can click on, and it will be going to give you the assessment, right? So what are the things? You need to go on to the overview to view the assessment. You need to go on to the assessment. You need to select the VM, or sorry, you need to select the group, or you can select the assessment, and you can see what are the pricing, what are the storage pricing, what are the Azure readiness is there, right? So if you click on Azure readiness, it's going to give you what is the pre-check is need to be defined, right? It says unknown OS, but it's a server 2012 data center, so most probably it's not going to be any issues here. What is the recommended size is, what is the disk is there, what is the disk type, right? And what is the cost is going to be for this instance to run into the Azure. So it's going to be 21 and 42 cent only for compute, and $1.54 is for storage account, right? And then further, if you're still not happy with this assessment, you can go ahead and do the recalculation, and it can go ahead and done the reassessment again and can show you what is your monthly cost is going to be, if there is any variations or any changes, right? And then if you go back, right, if you go back and if you want to do any setting change, you can do the setting change also, right? Or if you go back to the group, and in the group if you want to add more VMs, you can do that as well. So you need to go into the group, you can add more VMs. So let's say for example, the appliance which we have installed on the AWS have discovered 10 15 more VMs. So we can select all of those VM, we can add this group, and once that has been done, it's automatically going to be run the assessment, and we can go into the assessment and we can view all the details, right? That's how you can do the assessment. Now one more assessment is the dependency. Now what is the dependencies? So dependency analysis is the way where you can see, if you have a multiple VMs, you can see how the VMs are dependent on each other, so that you can create a group of those VMs and you can use those groups to do the migration from AWS to Azure, right? So if you go into the group one, if you go into the VM, you see it's required the dependency agent to install on this VM, right? For that, what I need to do, I first need to configure the log analytic workspace. I need to download this Microsoft monitoring agent, and then I need to install this dependency agent, and then I need to use the work ID, workspace ID, and key to configure the dependencies, right? So dependency agent become a very important part when you are having the multiple VMs. If you are having a one VM or two VMs and you know both of them are dependent on each other, then you can put all of those VM in a one group and you can directly move them to the Azure. But if you are running a larger infrastructure, the dependency analysis is become a very important part, so that you can learn how VMs are connecting to each other, and then you can put them into then you can create the migration batches using those dependency analysis, and you can move into the Azure, right? So that's how you can do you can do the assessment of the discovered VM into the Azure, which has been discovered from, or which has been coming from the AWS, right? Well, that's it in this video. I hope you like this video. If you like, please click on like and subscribe for more upcoming videos, and feel free to reach us if you have any questions. Thank you.